So the links have been sent to you. Join fast. We'll start with our psychology lecture. Guess you all have joined. So we'll begin with our psychology lecture, continuing from where we left. So what we were doing earlier, we were doing these things: reliability, validity, norms, and if we connect all these to another factor which is called objectivity, then it becomes your standardized psychological test. Standardization means a test which is having a universal norm, a test which is having a sample of norms, the cutoff, the benchmark from where you can compare your performance. These tests are found in the forms of your SBIT, Simon Binet or Stanford Binet intelligence test. These tests are found in the form of Wechsler adult intelligence test or Wechsler intelligent scale for children. Wechsler intelligence scale for children. So these are the scales or tests which we use. These are the standardized tests. How they are different from constructed tests, we have already talked about that. If we talk about the reliability, the constructed test is having very less reliability. That is, the scores obtained on these tests are not uniform. They are not temporally stable and internally consistent. What is the meaning of temporal stability? If you take a test of IQ on your SBIT, Stanford Binet intelligence test, you take a test. Your IQ comes out as 105. You take this test 6 months later. Or to make it more generic, 100 people take this test. Their average is 105. After that, the same 100 subjects, they take this test 6 months later. The average IQ obtained will be around 105, maybe 105 or 106. There won't be much difference. This is called temporal. Temporal, with respect to time, they are stable. Temporal stability. If there is a temporal stability in any test, it is called reliability. Okay. Now, there is another aspect of reliability that is known as internal consistency. Internal consistency. What is internal consistency and how it is checked? When we say we have a test of 100 questions, suppose in your general studies paper, prelims, you have 100 questions. So, each question should be able to relate with your score. How will that happen? There are various methods through which that internal consistency is checked. One of them is this split half method. What is the meaning of split half? There is a test of 100 questions. So this test is divided into two parts, 50 questions each. These two parts should be able to correlate with each other. What is the meaning of that again? If you take the test on these 50 questions, you get a score. For the 50 questions, the average score is, suppose, 25. For the next 50 questions, again this score should be around 25, maybe 25 or 26. And for the 100 test, that is 100 questions, average of these two, around 25, 25.5. So you understand, the trend of the score for any particular section of the test is the same as it is for the complete test. That is called internal consistency. We have done it in form of split half. It is split in two halves, split half method. But ideally what should happen? Ideally each and every item, what is item? Each and every question, item is nothing, question. In common parlance, that item has various meanings. Many people use it as a slang for a particular sexist remark as well, which is actually not good, which is like objectifying a particular gender. That is not good. So item, each and every item in this test of 100 items, test of 100 questions, each and every item should be evaluating your performance in the same manner as the whole test will do. This is the ideal definition of the internal consistency. But it cannot be achieved for each and every question. There may be certain questions which are actually not evaluating your that particular trait, maybe intelligence. If you are checking IQ, there may be certain questions which are not particularly exactly evaluating the IQ. So then the internal consistency will suffer. But overall, if you look at all the items, then it should be evaluating your performance in the same manner as the whole test will do. Each sections. So how we do it? Split half. We split it two halves. Split half method. Two things we have seen. One is your temporal stability, reliability, under reliability. Temporal stability is there. Then there is internal consistency, as we have talked about right now. There is another thing, another variable which is taken into account, and that is called your inter-rater reliability. That is, the test will be evaluated, the performance, the scoring will be done by different test evaluators. So those evaluators should also be consistent. That is, for one evaluator, suppose it happens in the UPSC main examination, suppose your copy is checked by somebody who is a lenient evaluator, the person will be giving you more marks. Person will tend to give you 1 or 1.5 mark for each question, more than what others a strict evaluator does. So here the question should be such that, the item should be such that, the overall test should be such that the evaluators also, raters also end up giving a consistent evaluation. That is the idea here, consistent evaluation. When these three things are found, then we say that the test is reliable. Fine. Now, you need not remember alpha coefficient, beta coefficient and all. If you remember the essence of it, what does reliability mean? It is over. Now, we'll go back to our comparison of standardized test and your constructed test. So, reliability we have seen, high, it should be high, of the order of what? Around 0.85 to 0.9. That is the stability coefficient alpha, which we call stability coefficient. How stable should be the scores? What does it mean? That if suppose in a test, group of subjects end up scoring 100 marks. In the same test or similar test later on, they should end up scoring around 100 or from the range of 90 to 100. This is the meaning here. Just simplifying the process. it should be more or less similar, as we have seen that under the test retest reliability, the same test or a similar test given to the same group of subjects at different time dimensions, temporal dimensions, they end up scoring the average score, the mean score being the same or similar in this range, then it is reliable. Fine. So what about the constructed test? The constructed test or teacher made test or a tailored test for a particular occasion, for a particular purpose, which is contextual, is having what? Having very less reliability. On a particular day you may score very well, but the next day you go and you will score very less on the same test. Why? Because that was a contextual test. So that is the difference between constructed test and a teacher and your standardized test. On the standardized test, reliability is higher. What about the validity? What is validity? Purity, fidelity, the truthfulness of the test. What is validity? Validity is how pure is the test, how validly, how truthfully, how purely the test evaluates a construct for which it is made. The test evaluates a construct for which it is made. That is validity. We'll see different types of validity, but for the constructed test, a teacher made test or a tailored test, the validity is low. What about the norms? As you know that the norms, what is the meaning of norm? As we say, social norm. What is a social norm? If you go to Germany, they will tell you just you should attend the meeting at 3:15 p.m. and if you go at 3:18, they have left the meeting. What about the norm in your India? The meeting is scheduled to be held at 3:15. Depending upon who is going to attend the meeting, they may come at 4:15. Some people may come at 9:15 also. And the Aam Janta, the people who are waiting for this kind of leaders, will not bother even if it is a 6 hours delay. So social norm, likewise, if the norms are available, that is a standardized test. If for the constructed test the norms are not available, from where will you evaluate? What is the benchmark? For the IQ test, SBIT test, 100 is the benchmark, 100 IQ is the average IQ. We have seen there is a bell curve. This curve we achieve. For most of the social construct, this is the curve we achieve. So 100 is the benchmark. One standard deviation ahead and one standard deviation behind. You get 68% of population here. And that is why the concept of deviation IQ came. How much you deviate from the average IQ, the norm of the IQ, the norm being 100. So how many standard deviation away are you? If your IQ score is 115, you are in this range. 15 being the one standard deviation for these IQ scores. Fine. So you are one standard deviation away. If your score is 130, you are two standard deviation away, and you are better than 95% of the population. This population is 68%. This is one standard deviation. If we take two standard deviation, then the population range will be 95%. If we take three standard deviation, then what? 97% of the population. Now this is a simple mathematics, and the thing with psychology is that you need to understand these things very easily. Very simply it has been explained, but you need to focus. What I found with many of the aspirants who want to become IAS, but then the thing is that they can't even understand this. The problem then is either you change your attitude, do lots of hard work, or leave the field. That's a harsh truth you have to accept. Okay, so how many standard deviation you are away from the average, the benchmark? Likewise, for the standardized test, it is the benchmark which is available. For a constructed test, it is not available. And since these factors like norms not being available, validity and reliability being less, very less, makes the constructed test your subjective in nature, the objectivity being very very less. This is the major difference. It may be asked, you, after covering these lectures, my lectures, the whole coverage of the syllabus as far as UPSC is concerned, psychology part is concerned, you will find two types of lectures. One, where the complete syllabus has been covered in this format, PTQ, prepare through questions, where I have dissected it into small sections of syllabus. According to the syllabus, what questions have been asked by UPSC, that are also enumerated there. Fine. And once you have the standard discussion of these questions, your psychology syllabus is completely prepared without giving yourself lots of pain. Complete coverage of the syllabus, standard format, standard language, everything is there. So this, and then after that I will also be discussing your PYQs, previous year question papers, the significant questions again for psychology, and essay, and this paper 4 of GS, which is called ethics, integrity, aptitude. Now while discussing these questions from 2013 onwards, 11 years, you will have a bank of the knowledge explained in a smart manner and techniques being used. You will have complete set of preparation. This all will be available on the YouTube channel. You all know the name of the YouTube channel, MJ_IAS. Okay, so this will be done. Now after this, your reliability, validity and norms are there. Okay, so now we need to cover, as we have dealt with the reliability aspects, two things we discussed majorly: temporal stability. And you know why I repeat these things, because you need to remember these things. It's quite unfortunate to find there are people who say that things are being repeated. These are the things that will be asked in the exam, and unfortunately while you are answering the question, you are not writing these things which are required, and then you always want a new masala. The thing is that first and foremost, make your foundation strong. Anybody who is a great person, who is a genius, has made his foundation strong by going through these basics. So first of all, make the foundation strong as far as basics are concerned. Then only aim to get new fodder every now and then. Then comes your internal consistency. These things we have seen. Temporal stability is checked through this method: test, retest. The same test being administered to the same group of subjects at different time intervals. Fine. Then comes your internal consistency, that is checked through the split half method. Adding another layer to these two is the inter-rater reliability. That is, if the test is evaluated, scored by different test takers, then also the average of the scores remain similar, if not the same. That's it. Done. Now we come to validity. What is the meaning of validity that you have understood? Now, how many types of validity are there? Then we'll see. Validity is the truthfulness of the test. So if you take a test which is supposed to be a test of IQ, then the test of IQ should look like the IQ test. Face validity, as we say, if you see a teacher or a professor, the professor should look like a professor. Or if you see a student, for that matter, the student should look like a student, right? If you're aspiring to become a bureaucrat, you must look like a bureaucrat also. On the face. What is that called? Face validity. What is the meaning of face validity? The appearance of the test should be such that it gives us a perception, it gives us an impression that it will end up testing the intelligence. So when we say SBIT, Simon Binet or Stanford Binet intelligence test, then what does it suggest? Just having the nomenclature, after that going through the booklet where the test is there, paper and pencil test. What is paper pencil? Take a paper, take a pencil or pen, write the test. That is paper pencil test. So in this format it is given to you, or maybe electronic format. When you go through the questions, what is the perception you make? When you enter your GS prelims examination, GS paper 1, many people they just go through the question paper. They scroll through the questions. Paper page 1, page 2, page 3, likewise. When they go through the complete paper, they realize whether the paper is easy or tough. So they make a perception. Accordingly, they attempt the questions. It is their strategy. You should not be worried about that. You should follow your own strategy. The best strategy is not to worry about which question is tough or easy, because accordingly the cutoff will be either lower or higher. Go to the exam, see the questions, attempt those questions which you know. Have confidence that if you don't know anything, others will also not be knowing, probably. Then answer those questions where you know the exact answer. Bubble it immediately after doing it. Then once you are relaxed that, oh, I have done 30-40 questions now, your confidence has increased, you are not anxious much. Come back to the questions where you found it a bit difficult to choose between two options. Now you attempt that, but don't overthink. See, this suggestion is for those people who don't do the overthinking. But if you are already smart enough, if your confidence is already high, you did not go to the second round. In the first round itself, you will be able to do all the questions. So the second round is for those people who don't have that level of analysis. So they choose it. If you have already analyzed the question and you come to the second round and overanalyze it, then you will end up marking it wrong. So have your strength weakness analysis done much before you enter the examination. Have that confidence in you. It should speak. The way you walk, the way you sit there, the way you attempt the questions will speak volumes about your confidence. And let me tell you, your confidence is your confidence only. Nobody else can judge or define your confidence. It comes from within. Okay? So face validity, on the face of it you realize, yeah, this is the intelligence test. This will probably do the test the intelligence. Then second thing what? After this what you will do? Second thing what will be there? Content validity. Content. What is the content here? The questions. When you see the question, suppose it's a test of your intelligence again. The questions are checking your numerical ability, the maths, DI, QA, as you call it by various names, but there is a common denominator, mathematics, which is common in your life also. I don't know how people forget the mathematics. Whether you belong to art stream, commerce stream or whatever stream, have you not bought vegetables? Have you not done the calculation for any function in your home? So how do you forget mathematics? Just you are fearful of maths because the way it is taught, it has been made tough. Then comes your verbal ability. verbal ability, English or Hindi, whatever you choose. Language is the first preface, the first interface through which a person is known. So when you have studied, when you have done your schooling, unfortunately our schooling system itself is of more of factual information, more of memory based. So if you have gone through your books, how did you go through it? Without having the knowledge of language, that itself is not possible unless and until you have been spoon fed. So this is what they are checking. Then you will see the questions are numerical, verbal, all these. So they are the test of the IQ. You will say content validity. So the range of items, all the questions, the range of items in the test are what? Related, not remotely, but objectively. To the construct in question. Okay, objectively related. So I'll give you an example again. The example will be from psychology only. Giving you an example from what is happening in the roads of Mukherjee Nagar, Old Rajendra Nagar, or other movie example. That is not relevant. You may find it funny, stand-up comedy going on, but when you write the answers, you won't be able to write it. So be serious and sincere. So example, RPM. What is RPM? Raven's progressive matrices. RPM, Raven's progressive matrices. What are these matrices? These matrices have such questions which checks your numerical and verbal ability. Now numerical and verbal ability are part of what? IQ, intelligence. Okay. So if I say that RPM will be used to evaluate your personality, will you be happy or sad? Should be sad, because RPM should not be a marker of personality evaluation at all. RPM is going to give your analytical ability, reasoning ability, which can be an indicator that you are an intelligent person, and that can be one defining trait of your personality. But if you say that RPM will be primarily used to evaluate your personality, then it is not valid. This is the game of validity. Fine. So two things we have seen. Face validity. On the face you should appear like a professor. When I talk to you, your language is also good. You have the deep insight about your particular subject which you are teaching, or your subject of interest, and the content which you speak through your mouth, that also should be relevant to your discipline in which you are doing your studies. So this is content validity. Two things we have seen. After that, what? Third validity is your criterion validity. And criterion validity is used for which kind of constructs? When you are checking a construct, suppose aptitude, in your civil services, So this aptitude in civil services is what kind of aptitude? Managerial aptitude? Is an aptitude of leadership? So this criterion validity tells us that how it is related to another test of management and leadership. So your CSAT, Civil Services Aptitude Test, is called valid when it correlates highly with another test of management and leadership, which is called your General Management Aptitude Test, GMAT, CAT, ZAT, etc. Common Aptitude Test, General Management Aptitude Test, or Global Management Aptitude Test, ZAT, another for the particular institution of XLRI, which is checking your managerial abilities and your leadership qualities. Suppose there is another test, Leadership Aptitude Test. The CSAT should also correlate highly with this Leadership Aptitude Test, because what is being evaluated there under the CSAT, Civil Services Aptitude Test, is your managerial ability, your leadership ability, and your emotional intelligence, which is again the part of leadership itself. So your managerial ability primarily, leadership ability specifically is being checked through your CSAT, which is relevant for the job for which you are applying. So this way we are talking about criterion validity. So these are the tests which are available. Suppose we are saying that the Civil Services Aptitude Test, so concurrent and predictive, two types of validity are there. What is concurrent, what is predictive? Under the criterion related validity, the test should correlate with the available tests which measure similar constructs. So the CSAT, if we talk about CSAT, it correlates highly with the tests available which are management aptitude test or leadership aptitude test. These two types of tests it should be correlating highly with. Then suppose when we say a civil services aptitude test, which is not only limited to leadership and management, because it is also about risk management aptitude test. So how you will evaluate the risk management aptitude? If there is no test available for checking the risk management, then you will decide based on this test what is your risk management ability. So that will be your predictive validity. For the part of tests which are available for the same construct, what is the construct like? Aptitude test itself, the civil services aptitude test, similar test, it should correlate highly with, or the tests which are available, already available, tried and tested, with them it should correlate highly. It should also be able to predict the future abilities, like risk taking abilities or risk management abilities rather. Your risk taking abilities will be checked in under your entrepreneurship. So risk management ability, it should be able to give us risk management aptitude test, because under the civil services there will be so many risks. And this risk management aptitude is your future aptitude. This should also be predicted by your test, existing test, the CSAT. This is the meaning. Two types of validity: concurrent for the existing test for the same construct, aptitude, and existing test is there, it should correlate highly with that. Predictive validity, it should be able to predict a future construct. Phase validity, content validity, criterion validity. What else is left? Construct validity. For the same kind of example which we have taken for criterion validity, we will evaluate the construct validity also. Aptitude, civil services aptitude test. This is our test for which we have to do the construct validity. What is the meaning of construct validity? This construct, civil services aptitude CSA, should converge, should correlate with the theoretical construct in question, that is aptitude. So any test which is primarily measuring your aptitude civil services aptitude. What is the common word here? Aptitude is the common word. And we call aptitude a theoretical construct. So it should converge with any aptitude test, any global aptitude test, it should converge with. And it should also be able to discriminate itself from a similar construct. Like, what is a similar construct to aptitude? Aptitude is your latent ability or existing potential to learn a new skill. That is the aptitude. What is the similar concept? Intelligence. Intelligence is also a global capacity to learn things faster, efficiently, a global capacity to behave efficiently, to portray yourself in an effective manner in any social setting globally is called your intelligence. Aptitude is a skill set which makes you learn new things faster. Your latent ability, inherent ability, which makes you learn things faster. So these two are also similar but still different. So discriminant validity is that this test, CSAT, Civil Services Aptitude Test, should be able to discriminate between a aptitude and intelligence. How? I'll tell you. There are two papers under your CSAT, GS1, GS2. GS2 is your, as you fondly call it, CSAT, Civil Services Aptitude Test, under which maths, English are there. Largely maths and English, nothing else is there. Then comes your GS1. Under that, geography, polity, economy, history, so many other things. So largely it's actually evaluating your knowledge. Whatsoever people may say, elimination technique, pair-based question, whatever it might be. If you have the knowledge, you will crack it. As simple as that. The only thing is that you're not able to recall things properly. You're not able to choose between two similar kinds of options given because your focus is not high. If you have a laser focus and you have studied it for 1.5 years or 2 years very well, all the dimensions of the subjects, then definitely you'll clear. The problem lies in you, but you keep on looking at the external environment that this book is not sufficient, I should go for another book. That is not true. Read the same book again with a better focus. Do all the previous year question papers. Analyze your strength and weakness. You'll be able to clear. Okay, so this is checking your knowledge. Okay, now Overall, if we talk about, a civil servant should have high aptitude and IQ, average, above average IQ, of course, and the knowledge also. But if we look at those people who belong to a certain background, let's say engineering background, their CSAT scores will be really high, but if you look at their knowledge part, which is very very less. So earlier what used to happen, when CSAT was not made qualifying, those people who scored really really high on second paper and scored some 30-40 marks even in GS paper 1, they were able to score much above the cutoff. But what was being checked there is largely your intelligence. Was that a valid test? The answer is no. Now if you give these examples, that makes examiner wonder, yes, you have done your work, you are a practical person, that gives you that will fetch you marks. Okay, so we have seen our construct validity, content validity, phase validity, criterion validity. These are the 4 validities. Under the construct, convergent, discriminant. Convergent, it should converge with the similar kind of construct. Discriminant, it should be able to discriminate itself from a similar looking but different construct. Content, yes, all the items of the test should be able to tell you that we are testing a particular construct here. Criterion, which criterion you are looking at, what you are evaluating, the construct. It should be able to correlate highly with the existing test, concurrent validity, and it should be able to predict if we have introduced a new construct. Cutting it short, simplifying it, actually, phase validity, the test should appear, you should perceive the test to as if you are measuring the construct in question. And what is the construct? Like intelligence, personality, whatsoever. The test should appear as if it is measuring the same construct. Then comes your content, the content of the test. Entire range of the questions, entire range of the questions, entire range of the items should be evaluating the same construct in question, content validity. Then comes your, you can use either criterion or construct validity. Simplifying it. And under that also convergent and discriminant. That's it. It should converge with it should correlate highly with the existing constructs which are also evaluating, or the existing tests which are also evaluating the same construct, and it should also be able to discriminate between the similar constructs which are not evaluating the construct in question for us. It should be able to both converge and discriminate. It should be concurrent with other existing tests which are evaluating the construct for which we are developing the test. It should also be able to predict the outcome of a novel construct, of a construct which is novel, new in nature. For a novel construct, we must have predictive validity. For a novel construct. That's it. It just finishes your validity. Now a discussion on reliability and validity. What do you think? When we have high reliability, will the validity will also be higher? How reliability and validity relate to each other for a particular test? If we have very high degree validity, is the reliability also high? What should be the approach of the test designer, somebody who is designing the test? We are actually looking for high reliability and optimum validity. To achieve these two, mind the words. Reliability should be high. The validity should be optimum. We are not looking for a very high degree validity. Why? Why are we not looking at very high degree validity? When we make the validity high for a construct, for a particular test, suppose intelligence, if we have to check the intelligence in its entirety, then what do you think? The item should be heterogeneous or homogeneous? If we have to check the entire range of intelligence, the test will be heterogeneous. That is, all sorts of questions will be there. Numerical ability, verbal ability, decision making, thinking, your reasoning capability, so many things will be at test. If we include all the items which checks all different abilities of your intelligence, what do you think about the reliability? Will the test be reliable? Just let's answer this from this perspective, split half method. If the whole test is having different sections, QA, LR, DI, your verbal, all these 4 sections. Let's see only 4 sections. Now you divide the question paper in the test in 2 halves. Do you think if we have varied questions, that too also of varying difficulty? Now why I am saying varying difficulty, when you bring varying difficulty into your questions, then you will be able to check a range of scores, range of abilities. How do you perform when the toughness of the question, the difficulty level of the question range from 0 to 100. All sorts of questions for that. If I evaluate your performance on all these questions, won't I be getting a proper judgment? The validity will be higher? Yes. But if then we split the test paper, split the test in 2 halves, will these two be consistent with each other? The internal consistency? What will happen to the internal consistency? It will be really, really low. Internal consistency will be lower. That indicates to the fact that we have a lesser reliability, because reliability has one dimension as internal consistency. What about the temporal stability for the same heterogeneous test? Temporal stability. We let 100 subjects take the test. They took the test. Now a similar kind of test is prepared and they take the test after a gap of say 7 days. Since the items are heterogeneous, will the score in the previous attempt and this attempt be similar? The answer is no. So very high degree of heterogeneity brings lower reliability, improves your validity. So what should be the optimum approach? The test should be of yes heterogeneous nature, not completely homogeneous, but the heterogeneity should be of the level of moderation. That is, although the test may be having different parts, different sections under it, to ensure that there is internal consistency in the test, we keep two things: moderate second thing, moderate difficulty. These two things must be ensured. The items, largely speaking, should have moderate difficulty. We'll see when we see the steps in the construction of a standardized test, we'll see the item analysis, through which we'll see the classical test theory and item response theory as well. These two, moderate heterogeneity, moderate difficulty. What else? What should be the length of the test? Suppose the test is very short, a 5-minute test. Is this test valid? No. It's not checking all the dimensions of the construct. 5-minute test of intelligence. Have you ever seen this 5-minute test of intelligence? No, it is not valid. What about the reliability? If it is a short test and homogeneous items are there, moderately difficult, and again given the same 5-minute test, the validity will be lower but the reliability will be higher. What about a very long test? The test is very, very long. Test is long. There are so many items in it. It simply means, suppose the test is of 6 hours. You'll be including all the items whichever is possible in the universe. Validity very high, because you are evaluating all the dimensions of the particular construct. For intelligence, you will see all the theories, all the case studies, all the papers, and all the books, all the items you will include. The validity will be very high. Very high. What about the reliability? It will suffer, because it's such a long test. So many other factors have affected it. The practice effect, the fatigue, the momentary fluctuations, personality factors. So if we bring another lengthy test, we don't know the score the person will get or a group of persons will get. So reliability is very less. So what should be the length of the test? Moderate length. Largely, if we have to prepare an efficient test, a test which is psychometrically efficient, What is the meaning of psychometric efficiency? Psychometric efficiency means your reliability should be high, your validity should be high. When I say high, it means optimum. Your norms should be there, of course, defined norms. Then your objectivity definitely of the test should be very high. So psychometric efficiency of the test would be very high if we have these three parameters in us, with us. Okay, so what you have to include, there are few questions which hover around reliability and validity, but most of the dimensions are dealt with this. If you remember reliability, validity, and your the correlation between reliability and validity, largely speaking, we are looking at high reliability and optimum validity. Few more questions we may see in further classes, but now we'll move to our steps in the construction of a psychological test. What are the steps we take in the construction of a test? Now, when these steps are given, you are expected to remember it and apply it, because definitely it's in the second paper, or otherwise also whatever you read, apply. So UPSC has asked you to construct many tests. Test of civil services aptitude test, test of civil services aptitude, test to select a group of students for a particular task. Likewise, there may be any other test, but the steps of the test will remain the same. The steps you remember, you'll be able to do most of the things. Okay. What are the steps? If you do any activity, what is the first thing you do? Unlike the civil services aspirations, the aspirants, the first thing they do is leave their home, come to Delhi. After coming to Delhi, get down at Karolbagh metro station, and then randomly looking at a particular branded coaching, they enter it. What actually should be your approach in life if you aspire to become an efficient civil servant? Planning. Planning. When we talk about the test, psychological test, what should you plan? What do you want to evaluate? The construct in question. What do you want to test? Your target population. Your way of administration. The items you will keep, whether it will be objective or subjective, that all you should decide in the planning phase itself. The construct in question, your target population, and the way of administration. Say for CSAT, what is the construct in question? CSA, Civil Service Aptitude. You will define it briefly. When you are asked to construct a test, you will define it briefly. What all criterion, what all constructs, or what all characteristics a civil servant should have. The first and foremost, your emotional intelligence, that includes decision making capability. Then comes your communication abilities and a generic intelligence. That suffices if you talk about Indian administrative service. Then comes your target population. Whom are you targeting? Your graduates, ranging from age of 21 to 37, because of reserve category having relaxation of age. Then comes your way of administration, how it will be an objective test apart from subjectivity, which will be introduced in the second stage, and your personality test. So which test are you talking about here? Objective test. That is done. Then second step is your item writing. What is item writing? Questions. The experts of the field will write the questions, and while writing the question, they will ensure that the items, the questions are clear, they are relevant. What is the clear meaning? That ambiguity should not be there. Ambiguity should be as less as possible. It should be relevant to the construct in question. These two are primary criteria. Many other things, like it should be moderately difficult, it should have discriminating ability. These things also will be ensured in the next step, where we do item analysis. Item writing, once you have written the item, then what will you do? Then you go for third step, preliminary tryout. In the preliminary tryout, the test will be administered to a sample. This sample is the representative cross section of the population which is targeted by you for evaluating that particular construct. Fine. So what you will be doing? You will be giving this sample test to a sample of the population. When you do that, you will do certain more things, like you will remove the ambiguous items. Whichever you find that the items were found ambiguous, you will be removing that. You will be removing the items which are very easy and very tough. Then you will be doing what? Item analysis. In the item analysis, what will be done? The difficulty, discriminating power or discriminatory power, the ability of the item to remove such reactions where there is pseudo guessing. Without knowing it, you are guessing it. There are people who guess the answer, and there is a, if you have 4 options, there is a 1/4 probability of every answer going correct. So if you just blindly follow any of the options, there is a 1/4 probability. So if you take 100 questions, just taking A as option, even then you may score 25 correct answers. If the question is of simple denomination, but pair based questions and all are not there, then you may end up scoring 50 marks even then. But there are negative marking also, and negative marking was introduced to remove these people, so that difficulty level is moderated. Discriminatory power is seen, that the item should be able to discriminate between a person of lesser ability and a person of higher ability. The question should not be so easy that even an expert is scoring the same that a novice is. Question should not be so tough that the person who are intelligent but those who are not genius won't be scoring any marks there. So the questions are made moderately difficult, and the questions, the items should have that discriminatory power, that they remove a person of ability into the screened zone and eliminate the people who are not serious. This is done by your prelims examination. Prelims is an examination which is checking your sincere aspirants. The definition of the prelims examination is that the non-sincere aspirants will be eliminated. So you can judge by the result you get. So after that, the pseudo guessing capability, that should be removed. Those who are doing the pseudo guessing thing. Those who guess the answer without knowing anything and they end up answering it correctly, that probability is removed. While removing this, what is done is called your item analysis. Earlier, the item analysis was being done for the whole test, for the complete set of tests under this classical test theory, which is called CTT, classical test theory. So the classical test theory assumed that for the complete test there is an observed score, which is a combination of two factors, true score minus error score. It may be plus or minus. This is what the simplistic assumptions, non-statistical assumption, simplified version of your item analysis. But actually it is not an item analysis, it's a test analysis, because the analysis is being done in a non-mathematical manner, rather unlike a complex mathematical formula which will be followed in IRT, item response theory. So under classical test this was being done. And why item analysis is important? Because you understand, by following the item analysis we will realize that difficulty level is moderated for each and every item. The discriminatory power of each and every item, each and every question will be done. The pseudo guessing factors will be removed, and through this we will be able to sketch what? An item characteristic curve, where it will be probability of the correct answer P, and this is the ability of the person. So this curve comes like this, about which we will study in the next class. It will definitely be tomorrow. So this is classical test theory. Item response theory was a great departure from the classical test theory, which said that no, this is not the way. We have to analyze each and every item, and we have to create a pool of items which will be able to tell us or give us a mathematical, complex, numerical, mathematical, statistical analysis to produce the modern day tests, computerized adaptive testing techniques, tailor-made tests like GRE, GMAT, CAT, etc. The great application of IRT, item response theory, is in educational psychology, and the wonders of IRT have ensured that we have such tests prepared, which is focusing on the ability of the person, which is also called the latent trait theory or item characteristic curve theory, ICC theory. We'll study about all these things. We'll study about the RASH model, RASCH, in your next class, which will finish our first block, that is introduction, research methods, methods of psychology, and this individual differences. And then we'll connect with the chapters and then finish psychology in a smart manner. Many of you have already studied it, so it's a kind of revision. Apart from that, I also provide so many fodder for you so that you score really well. Okay, with this I'll end the class because there is another session. Thank you very much for joining. Keep studying.